Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Books and Backbone podcast. My name's Donna. I'm the owner of Bookkeeping Made Simple, just outside of Salt Lake City, Utah. And with me today is Krista Jones of Highly Connected and THC Girls.
Yeah.
Krista, tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Thank you so much, Donna, for having me. I've been in the commercial cannabis space for about 17 years now, and I started right out of high school in Colorado. And so just learning a little bit of the caregivership lifestyle and building grows at first, doing a lot of the labor and the dirty work and the cultivation side. So I have a huge cultivation background, and that led me to creating the THC Girls, which is my marketing company. I started about 11 years ago. So the THC Girls is really a marketing agency where we focus on organic and authentically connecting brands, and building community around those brands. And along the way, I launched the Highly Connected and noticed that community and network are really what's super important for a brand to thrive. And so I built my network, the Highly Connected, and it's really for that exact thing, is for everybody, for the brands within it to thrive.
That's awesome. I've looked at that website, and I'll put it in the show notes. It is quite an impressive calendar of events you have going on in there.
Thank you, thank you. We like to have a little bit of fun, but we like to have professional business, motivation, and progressive things going on too. So it's a little
That's
mixed.
awesome. That's awesome. So, what drew you to cannabis to begin with? You said you started right out of high school.
Yeah, I was in the right place at the right time. I believe, I guess, as legalization took place in Colorado, I had just graduated. So, it took for somebody to invite you to their home or to invite you to some pretty private stuff going on back then, right?
Right.
And I just built a network of people. I would go and help them produce, perform, trim, and just kind of got thrown in the mix, and it started translating into huge operations as medical took place. You got your badge, and then as recreation happened, that's when I started the THC Girls. 'Cause I really started putting two and two together. I'm at this point, I'm like mid 20s, and I'm like, oh, okay, I see the value here, and more so of what like a brand ambassador is or an influencer is today is really, I organically was doing that for all the brands I was growing for, all the people I was working with, and that's really what led me to where I'm at.
That's awesome. So, has using cannabis benefited you yourself?
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, I'm a firm believer that it helps. I think that there's different ways to consume it depending on what the goals are. And I think that the market for medical is just getting tapped into. I think recreation has obviously been around for a long time. And it's now positioning itself for the commercial world. But I think that the medical side has huge benefits, even to down to juicing the plant. So I think that those are things that um, they're not quite there yet at the forefront of what's going on in the space. But I think that eventually that will be a huge part in cannabis, the medical side.
Yeah, I think the wellness side is going to be enormous.
Hmm.
So, people are looking for more organic ways to take care of themselves instead of turning to big pharma.
Hmm.
So,
100%.
yeah, I used it myself to deal with some traumatic experiences, and
Hmm.
it's been a life changer for me. And I always laugh because of that lazy stoner stereotype.
Oh, I know.
I haven't met any. I don't know who these people are, but I haven't met any lazy stoners.
Yeah.
Everybody I know or have met that partakes are extremely high performing. So I don't know where that. Well, I do know where that came from. But
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I agree. I think, and that's exactly what our network is a network of high performers, and
yeah,
that's who we look to connect with. Forward thinking, um, whether you use it or not. It's more so of just be forward thinking and open, and really just performing at that higher level. Because I think, and it does coincidentally, consumers do perform at a higher level.
yeah. Even the iconic stoner pair, Cheech and Chong, are just brilliant.
Right.
Anyone that gets to meet Tommy Chong is really lucky because he's one of the smartest people I have talked to.
Yeah, that's it's crazy how something so funny like it's a little stoner movie back in the day and now their brand is global, right?
Oh
Like
yeah,
they're on shelves everywhere. I just went to one of the local grocery stores or whatever and I saw them in the store and I was like, "Damn, that's cool, you know." It's cool to see it. It's mind-blowing because I've heard and seen and been a part of stories where it's like there's not a huge success. It's really hard in the market. It's not as easy as everyone thinks. A lot of fees,
yeah.
extra and limited access. A lot of things go on. So when you see somebody actually being successful in the space, it's great.
Well, I mean, that's the case for just about every business. I think people think that business owners are loaded
Right.
and they have it really easy. And I'm like, I work 10 to 12-hour days and don't take a check a
Yeah.
lot of times because there's other places that money has to go before it gets to me.
Hmm.
So I think people underestimate how difficult running a business is to start with.
Yes.
And then you throw this gray area of cannabis in, and it makes it so much more challenging.
It really does. Yeah, it really does. And business, like you said, I think that's a perfect way to say it because it's like business on its own is difficult. So it really does. You gotta be extra sharp.
Yeah, you really do. So, what does a typical day look like for you? You've got all these events going on, so I don't know if you have a typical day.
That's a good question, actually. No one's asked me that. I the morning I position for myself. I really I'm typically on the East Coast, sometimes on the Mountain Time, and really getting ahead of everything in the morning. By 10 o'clock, I've done had me time. I've positioned all the companies that I have a participation in as well as my own, and then really just fluidly have a structured outline throughout the day, whether it's calls, whether it's podcasts, whether it's outreach, and being very, very consistent. We get comfortable sometimes, right? And
Right.
always just having that spark under my ass. Try to not get, comfortable because it is a lot of work. And what happens with a lot of people is you get that rhythm, you continue to get this traction, and you think you got it. Right, but the reason why you
Mhm.
have it is because you did the work and the traction. So, just
Right.
catching that momentum daily, within my personal life, within the business, and follow through.
Yeah, kind of going back to what I was saying, people think business owners have it easy, but I kind of joke and say it takes 20 years to become an overnight success.
Hmm.
There's a lot of foundation building that has to go into that.
Yes, and yeah, and a lot of lessons in so many different. Yeah, I think the foundation is huge, and you figure out what it's even worth doing with your business. Overnight,
Right.
you think one thing, you have all these ideas planned out, and as you get these lessons, you learn where the business is actually going to thrive. So
Hmm.
I think that anything that's a quick overnight success, you don't get that opportunity to really learn, and then that's where it's
Right.
like, okay, one hit wonder.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Kind of happened to it kind of happened to my dad back in the 70s. He had a
Oh, really?
prosperous pest control business and he thought he could duplicate it when we moved cross country and it didn't duplicate.
It's a different
It just
market in
didn't
every
work.
place.
Yeah, an entirely different market. We moved from Seattle to a small town in western Kentucky, and people didn't have the money to pay a professional to come in. They had to do it themselves, and
Mhm.
as much as I think that's probably very short-sighted, because if you hire someone, that's time that you get back
Right.
to make your own money. Uh, um, but that was just the reality of it. He just couldn't duplicate his success.
Yeah, I agree. I think I've gotten recruited. I went out to Oregon 2017 and for a huge startup operation out there, and I've moved with the markets and the trends. Stayed in Texas for a little bit. I'm in Miami, majority now, and I go to the New York, Jersey area, and just
Hmm.
seeing, there's different markets for different things, and people move different ways. And one of the biggest lessons we learned when we went to Oregon, they're very local, very Oregonians,
Yeah.
so not being from there, and we came with huge investors, and they had recruited us, cherry picked us from Colorado, and brought us to the space out there. They came banging their chest, and Oregon definitely recognized that. So we had this different level of expectation, and they very much, you know, did a community situation that made us put into a situation where we had to sell our pounds and our product, and for very cheap at the time. The market was drowning, and the community was working together. They're like, we're gonna support local, and you guys aren't local, so
Yeah.
right. And
Yeah.
so I think experiencing that, and then just moving so much, I've seen that firsthand so many times. It's the right place at the right time, and not everything works for everybody. So it's like
Yeah.
you really gotta. It's kind of like stocks in the trading. It's like,
Hmm.
when is that gonna hit?
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of parts of the country. I think people on the coast don't realize it. Portland does, but
Mhm.
people most of the time don't understand that a lot of times in the interior of the country, if you're not from around there, you're kind of an outcast.
Yeah.
It's just I even noticed it. We moved from Seattle to Kentucky. My parents were from that town. They had grown up there. Their parents were from there. Their grandparents were from there. And we came in and I wasn't from there. So to this day, I'm still not really a part of my graduating class. I don't have anything in common with them. Um, I feel very much like an outcast. And
Mhm.
that's just being a generation removed and not being there from kindergarten.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, people can be very insular.
Yeah. And it's tough, especially when there's money involved, and things that need to happen. It's
Yeah.
interesting, and it becomes an interesting place.
So what's working well for you in your business and what are you having challenges with?
So really, the industry in the market is a little challenging, right? I did jump in quite some time ago when there was a good, pound of product was about $5,000, $6,000. Especially if you broke it down on the shelf at dispensaries, and
Hmm.
now that's just not the same thing. It's not happening like that anymore. And pretty much anywhere you go, I see a lot of the pricing, even in the newer markets, is dropping quicker than it took initially as the industry began to mature. But like, if you're in a newer market, the prices are typically better. However, they drop and everything continues to level itself out, especially with the legalization continuing to go in every different state now. So
Hmm.
just the market finding where it's going to settle, I think, is where not only I but everybody is wondering, right? We want to see, because just like you said, if there's not any money there, it's not that the pest company was bad. It's just there's not a market for it, right? That there's not a
Hmm.
spread there to make it make sense. Those people have extra time, they don't have the budget, whatever. It might make more sense to us, but not to them. And it is what it is. So, for me, I've had to pivot a little bit. I just recently got into insurance. That space is huge. That market is big.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I want to, I want to play big. So
Yeah.
tapping into the insurance space, I think that will give me access and the compliance side to a lot of the consulting and advising that I already do. So I thought it was a good pivot and strategy, and I'm still doing everything that I've always done. It's just added a little notch to my belt, and
Hmm.
so that's what's working for me is stepping outside of the space, unfortunately, where I've been so dedicated to the space the last like 17 years of my life, only doing anything cannabis related. But unfortunately, as the trends continue to happen, more and more spaces open up, the market does go down. So,
Yeah.
what happens to people that are in the space that are eating off that? There's nothing to eat. so,
Right. Right.
so definitely what's working is tapping outside of the space a bit. A lot of people are coming corporate traditional into the space. I feel like sometimes it's good to go opposite. And
Hmm.
with the experience I have, taking it into the traditional spaces has really, really gave me the same access that I've been able to provide into the networks that I do already. It's very similar. So that's what I've been doing, as well as really focused on my network and my community right now, which is the highly connected. And I do that on a subscription based model. It's a free download to find all the access and the events and stuff, and then to plug in into that event calendar and the opportunities board for resources, it comes with a tiered price. So that's really what I've been focusing on and seeing is successful at the moment. A lot of people, again, with the situation of the market and just life and how things are in general, um,
Hmm.
it's I think it's good to have a smaller ticket item instead of such high ticket items. A lot of the companies can't afford, and it's the same thing. I feel like what you were saying with the pest stuff. It's
Yeah.
the industry just can't afford it right now.
Right.
Hmm.
Right. I've since I do accounting and bookkeeping, there's a lot of accountants that won't work with companies that sell or produce or work with cannabis because of the stigmas that are attached to the plant, which I think are honestly ridiculous. Um, I would rather work with facts and logic than stigma and perception and emotion.
Hmm.
Um, but I've had people tell me that they've seen accountants raise their fees specifically for cannabis companies, and that's not something that I do because to me it's going to be legal
Yeah.
federally eventually at some point.
Right.
And but because it's not, there are extra hoops that have to be jumped through. But I would do that for any business.
Right.
I just it's not something I really understand very. I remember when I was in high school and someone lit up a joint in the back of the bus and the teachers flipped. And here I am, an 18-year-old going, it's a plant. It, you don't care about tobacco and you don't care about alcohol, and they're infinitely worse for you.
Hmm.
But you're freaking out about this plant that we call a weed because it actually is. you know, it Ditchweed grows everywhere, and it's why are we uh, upset about using a plant? And I
Right.
haven't heard of anything toxic or negative really about it unless someone is seriously overdoing it,
Yeah. That's
or if
the
they are predisposed to having mental problems. Um, but as long as you're an adult and you're informed, then I don't see any problems with it, and I don't think the government should be all that involved.
Yeah. I think it's just the money. The money. Once the money situation can figure out itself into the right pockets, it will all it will all work out, I think, right?
Yeah,
Eventually. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the alcohol, the tobacco, there's so much stuff, and really, everything is so harmful in mass amount, so it
yeah,
is crazy. I think that the legalization is just the taxing and the money. Once that happens and that is organized, then the industry will be able to thrive more,
yeah,
because people won't be so scared to work in it, and also people won't try to tax us for everything. It's like, oh, you want a banking account, okay, cool, but it's going to cost you extra. Oh, you want an accountant, okay, well, it's going to cost
yeah.
you
It's
extra.
going to cost
And
you
then you
extra.
think, right, and then
Yeah,
you think, it's like, well, if I got to pay all these extra fees, why would I do it that way? So now somebody that's trying to put their best foot forward, they're going to get
hmm,
pushed back into this situation, because why would I go pay all this extra money when I could have it all and not do it?
right.
And it puts, this weird situation to where it's like, we got to progress, we got to do things right, we got to, and do all these things, but then you're putting these people into a place where they can't get where they need to be.
Yeah, Yeah, and for the viewers that don't know, when you sell a product that is semi-legal like this, there are extra rules on taxation, and there are things that you cannot deduct on your tax returns that every other business can.
Right.
So, cannabis retailers, at least, can only deduct the cost of goods sold. They can't deduct anything else. Um, and most, traditional businesses can deduct everything. They can deduct the cost of their building. They can deduct, payroll. They can deduct all the normal business expenses. But when you're in this gray area where it's legal on the state level, but Schedule One on the federal level, then it becomes a lot more complex.
100%.
So I personally don't charge any different. It doesn't matter to me what industry you're in, just what your needs are. And
Mhm.
so I don't raise my prices for cannabis or anything else,
That's
unless it's a very challenging client.
I was just
And
gonna
it's
say
usually the
that's the
client
that's
that's a
the
challenge, not the
that's the
industry.
part. No, that's the part that's hard, right? How many times do they want to talk? Do they get the stuff when they need to, right? Are you always waiting for them?
Yeah,
But
or are they
I
turning your
agree.
stuff in at the last minute for a deadline?
And you can't do your part unless they do their part. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. But into to what you were saying, that's why it's very important for people to work with people like yourself, us, that have knowledge and understanding of where the taxes go and where all the
Hmm.
charging and to be strategic on the setup, so that way you do have a little bit of access to some capabilities with marketing and having additional structure to your enterprises, right? So that way
Yeah.
you can really be successful in this world. Because if you try to compete the regular way and just have everything thrown in your one business, for one, compliance wise, that gets hit and everything's gone, right? And for
Yeah.
two, when the money comes in and investors and being able to pay bills and stuff like that, and just even have regular bank accounts, you can't have everything attached. So I think it's a lot to it's a lot to go over with a client that doesn't understand, and they don't
Uh-huh.
understand why extra fees and why extra this and why even with it not being extra, right? It's just
Right.
the structure and the setup to have the access as a traditional business. You need to be creative. So I think
Yep.
that it's so important for people to work with somebody like yourself. That way they can really have that access and the knowledge and get those benefits.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And there's already an accounting shortage, and then you take out the accountants that are willing to work with cannabis companies, and it's a pretty tight market for finding an accountant that'll work with you.
Hmm.
So I just happen to really believe in this product, this plant, and all the things it can do. And the more people I talk to, the more I find out that what it can do. I
Hmm.
haven't heard of anything toxic about it. You can juice the leaves. You can consume the bud orally or by inhalation. Or I've got people that I've done podcasts with that have it for skincare and anti-aging. So I'm like, there's so much positive about this plant that this is something that I believe in and want to work with.
Hmm. That's awesome.
So it's a little bit easier than trying to work with industries where I just really don't like the product.
Yeah.
Um, Early in my career, I had a job selling reverse mortgages. And I
Okay.
think I lasted about 3 days on that because I could see all the pitfalls. And the sales floor was trying to tell me that there weren't any. I was like, oh, yes, there are. Um, a lot of them. And you're going to leave these people impoverished at the end. And I couldn't believe in the product, so I couldn't sell it.
Right. Yeah, it makes it a lot easier when you believe in it.
Yeah, it
For
does.
sure. Just education is needing then, it's not even a sale, it's just educating.
Yeah, yeah. And I always kind of chuckle that most of the people that have an objection to this plant, they've either taken in the movie Reefer Madness and believe it to be true, or or they've been influenced by the campaigns of the 1980s. Don't
Yeah,
do, just say no. This is your brain on drugs, and they don't really know what the plant does.
yeah.
And I've seen it. I've seen it improve quality of life for older people. Um,
Hmm.
and I've seen it improve performance actually for highly intelligent, high performers. They're actually able to improve their performance on it. Again, it's kind of subjective, but I don't know anyone that's been harmed by it.
Yeah,
On the other
yeah.
hand, I have a friend in the hospital right now going through alcohol withdrawals.
Oh
So,
yeah, yeah. Alcohol is a dangerous drug itself for sure. I think
yes,
it's crazy. I do think that it's cool to see the THC as an option on the shelves now by alcohol and accessible at stores and stuff like that. I think that that will really help. Yeah, as long as people don't abuse it. Obviously, abusing anything is bad, but
yeah.
I think that the repercussions of all the actions on THC, eating some food and falling asleep, maybe. If
Yes,
anything.
no, you're not going to get violent on THC. You're probably just going to get the munchies and sink into the couch
Yeah.
or clean the house. That's the other thing I like
Right.
to do.
And that's just your body saying that you need you're tired and
Yeah.
you need sleep, which is cool too. It's not even a bad thing. Some people just need that, and
Hmm.
I think that it's good that the CBG and the CBN and all the different kind of cannabinoids are coming out for those reasons, because everybody just thinks, oh, it's just THC.
Yeah, you're just going to get high. And there's
Right.
so many other uses for it.
Right. And even if you're not a consumer, I think that the economy is greatly reflected. I mean, Colorado, everything, new streets, new this, new that. We had to vote to give tax money to schools instead of take it because there was so much taxes on the cannabis that was getting done in
Uh-huh.
Colorado. Yeah, so it was, it does really well for the economy and just for everybody in general, as far as
Yeah.
jobs and even resources, like the companies that have nothing to do with it, the HVAC companies, the plumbing companies, any of those
Hmm.
people that might not even be consumers, it still benefits them.
Yeah. Construction, someone's got to build greenhouses and
Hmm.
someone's got to build dispensaries and someone's got to manage them and someone's got to do the accounting and someone's got to take care of the rest of the back end and someone's got to run payroll and so yeah, there's a lot of things that go into it just like any other business. So
Right.
um, honestly, I think most of the abuse comes from the fact that it was illegal for so long. It's like alcohol prohibition.
Hmm.
People drank a lot before then, but prohibition actually created the binge drinker.
Hmm.
People would kind of drink steadily all day, but not get drunk because alcohol was always available. Um, and there was always a subset of people that would overuse it. But when they prohibited it and made it illegal, I think that's when um, people really started abusing it instead of using it.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know when they would get another chance to drink, so you might as well drink the whole bathtub full of gin. You
Yeah.
know?
Right.
um, and I think it's kind of the same thing with cannabis. I think new users get excited
Yeah.
and overdo it, and you kind of figure out how to use it over time.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, and you see that too as the markets open up. It's like a lot more consumption. Prices are high, and then you
mhm.
see, okay, it's not as new anymore, and then it gets
Yeah,
more
and it's not
accessible.
going away.
Right. Yeah.
So it's safe to just buy what you need instead of having a huge dispensary haul because
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
not going away.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, I think a lot of times the people forget about unintended consequences and they don't pay attention to that.
Yeah.
So if you could solve one challenge right now in your business, what would it be?
In my business, one challenge I could solve. Mm.
Oh, good. That was a thought-provoking
Yeah.
question.
I'm like, which business am I thinking of? Um, really, just monetizing and streamlining is where I'm at in my businesses. I have a lot of the foundation set up, and I am at a point where I have my team, everything's organized, and just putting some pedal to the metal is really where I feel my next step is. And I am again trying to be really mindful of the market and when and where I want to do that is kind of what my hurdle is. Kind of if I'm jump roping back and forth, waiting to jump in, because of how the market is going. I don't want to for example, I launched my membership community. I more recently in the last 5 years, I was talking to my developer about 10 years ago about doing
Mhm.
that when I had first launched the THC Girls, and I wish I would have did it then. Obviously, right? If we could go back, but I feel like I did it at a better timing because a lot of coincidentally, there's a lot of communities, even the school
Mhm.
app. But I have my own app, and I was on track with where the process of the highlight of the markets right now. Every creator has a community, they charge for it and all those things. So for me, I'm just really trying to uh, be mindful of the industry and the markets, and when I want to really put the gas on the fire for my business, so that way I am not going to exhaust myself and be very strategic on matching that time to grow. So that's where I'm
Yeah,
at. That's what I'm trying to figure out right now.
that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So, how can people reach you?
You can reach me a lot of ways. The best way is to download the Highly Connected app. That's where our community is. It's a free download, so we have a lot of
Mhm.
our events and promotions, access codes, links to free RSVPs and things like that on there. But it's also a way to book a sesh with me. So you can hit the Let's Sesh, and then I get on a one-on-one call, book a call, see what's up with what's going on with whoever in my network, and then the Highly Connected on all social platforms, the High Country Girls on all social platforms, and then Krista Jones. You can find me directly.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being on the show today, Krista, and I am excited to see how your businesses grow. Um, Definitely, by the way, get on the Highly Connected. I've looked at a lot of the events. They're all over the country. Some of them are remote, but they are all over the country, and there's bound to be something close by. I was just looking at a couple. I'm in Salt Lake. I didn't see any in Salt Lake, but Vegas is a short drive away. Well, 4 hours.
Oh, you're there.
It's short. You're right. Vegas
Yeah.
is just a few hours away, and uh, Southern California is not much further, and there's plenty of things going on around me, even if it's not in my city. So I'm
Yes.
excited to start participating in some of those.
Yeah, we would love that. And we're easy to focus and really hone in any area. We have a really good recipe and a really good framework to really activate, is what we like to call it. So
Hmm.
if there is a need or desire to activate in your area and we can create and collaborate on things like that, we're always open to it. For MJ Biz, Thunder Walker, who is a great friend, and I've worked with her and traveled all around the world pretty much, touring on the Smoke Currency tour she hosted with me. Um, what's it called? She's doing the Pressure News. So she's doing her launch. I believe that's
Oh,
what you're
that's
talking
right. I
about.
talked
Yeah.
to you that before the podcast. Pressure
Yeah.
News
So
is
that's
having
what,
their
yep.
launch on December 2nd in Las Vegas. So
Yeah. So she's going to do a huge launch party. That would be an amazing spot for you to come and participate. So it's a
yeah,
private invite only party. So if you want to go, let me know. And
okay, will do.
yeah, we'll get you highly connected.
Awesome. Well, thank you
Cool.
so much for being on the show, Krista, and we will talk to you soon.
You too. Have an amazing day.
You too.